How you doing? As you can see, we have no cows today. We did hear from a lot of people that the moos weren't coming across as me and Bob have been saying for a long time, and we can speak to that because our little sister Susan is not here with us today, right now,
No,
anyway.
here's what I
And
think. I think
what do you
she's
think?
I think she's looking for a better moon and doesn't want to show up without it. That's one
Oh, that could be because she's really thinking the moo is great, and we know that it's not.
thought.
And we don't know where Susan is, but she's a brand new grandma right now, and she's got baby-itis, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. Look at my kid. Remember the movie where they're at the wedding and look at the kid, look at the baby, look at the baby, look at the baby, look at the what if
Yeah,
that was? I can't remember who it was. It might have been the guy from Office. Anyway, or
yeah.
the Owens brothers or Owen.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah.
Anyway, this is like Susan, and I will say my daughter Marissa has a newborn. Any of the new moms with newborns, it's all look at the baby, look at the baby, look at the baby, look at the baby. And we love it because today you do get to look at the baby online. We're getting all the pictures.
That's true. That's true.
I
And I
love it.
must say, as an outlier of all this baby stuff, Bob, that Marissa's new baby and Miranda's new baby are pretty good looking babies
You
as
know,
babies go.
these babies were born about a month apart, or even
Yeah.
less. And as babies go, they are not Alfred Hitchcocks. And I hate to say that because people get upset when I say every newborn looks like Alfred Hitchcock. But to
Yeah.
me, every newborn looks like Alfred Hitchcock. But these two, right? It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. And you go, oh my goodness, and the crying and the new thing. So who knows? Also, Susan might be working on the Vegas show. She could be rehearsing because
Yep.
we're going to bring some new things into the Vegas show, folks.
Whew.
This could,
The only
uh, I don't know, spice up the show or something. We'll talk about a little more about that later.
Yeah, because it's funny, we got to be careful because I noticed on the contract in Vegas, and we've dealt with Vegas before, it says a minimum of a 75 and a maximum of 90 minutes. So we got to keep our eye on that because we do have a lot of songs that we want to do
Yeah.
that are kind of new, and but to go over that 90 minutes is a bad thing to do in Vegas because they want those people out of that showroom down onto those tables.
Hey, folks, we have had people at casinos because of what Paul just said, standing there watching their clock, watching their wrist
Yeah.
to see what time. You cannot go over in Vegas.
No, we did it one time. I remember we went over, and it was early on in our Vegas romps, and the lady that was running the whole thing, what was her name? Gosh, Barbara, or I forget. Anyway, I forget her name now, but boy, she came right up to me after the show and she goes, Paul, if you want to keep playing in Vegas, you better hit these times because not go over 90 minutes. And boy, we heard that and we went, yes, ma'am. And, and I said, hey, we'll never make the mistake again. And she took chances with us onward in years. And we always made sure the time was right. But
Yeah.
she was that first person that came up and said, hey, you guys, this isn't your show
Hey,
kind of thing.
so we got the cruise coming up, as we know. Vegas
Yes.
is here, Cranston on the 11th of February. And today's guest in terms of Cranston on February 11th is Steve Smith from Steve Smith and the Nakeds. Yes, there's a story behind why are you calling yourself the Nakeds? There's a good story there. But we're opening for Steve. They're a powerhouse, 10-piece, energetic band I mean, they own the Northeast. I will give them that. They own Rhode Island for sure.
Man, they do.
They own Rhode Island and Rhode Island owns them. And we're going to
Yeah.
get into it with Steve, but he will be our backing band in Cranston. And just to give everybody a little fun thing where a musician is pushed out of their box and they don't want to be. I remember saying to Steve, he goes, we got a 5-piece horn section. And I said, hey, Steve, that's great. But, Rain the Park, Heron Indian Lake, they don't really have horns in them. And he wrote back, but we wrote horn parts. So I'm going, oh my gosh, they wrote horn parts. So
That's
I had immediately, I kind of thought, okay, this is kind of rock and roll to get pushed like this. What did they come up with Indian Lake? And now I can't wait
right.
to find out. So you people, it's the three of us up there. It's
It'll be
oh,
fun.
man, it'll be fun, and it's with Steve Smith and the Nakeds as our backup band. We're going to open. It is their 50th anniversary, by the way, as a rock band.
Yes.
And we want to celebrate that with him too. And they went into, well, we'll get into the stories of Steve and what he's got going. So we got the cruise coming. Hey, the cruise is going to be great all week, 3 shows. You know the scene.
Hopefully we can be the that band that we were last time, where as the ship is pulling away from the dock, it's like we're the band that like does it, kind of the Titanic band.
It's the Sail Away. Is it the Sail Away show? It's got a name.
Yes, it's called Sail Away.
Sail
Yeah, of
Away.
course.
Man, I wish
Yep.
we do Sail on Sailor, but we don't. We're not going to learn it, so don't ask us. Anyway,
Yeah, don't think we're going to be doing that.
I hope
But
we do too. I hope.
yeah, and then that third show, if you recall, was on our way in. So we were the Sail Away and the Sail Back
in,
band.
and we have a show in the middle, and we do the Q&As.
Yes.
We'll be on the game shows, everyone. We play when we go.
Yep. And we're going to make sure that, our merchandise, which is going to be Rhythm of the World, for sure is going to be out there with us. We're going to make sure that you guys can find it. Last time we were talking about it to people and they go, well, we didn't even know you had merch. And we did have merch, but they weren't able to see it. So we're going to have to find out where the merch really happens and then make sure it's out there.
Yes, and we will have Rhythm of the World, our new album that came out September 30th. It's going well, folks.
It is. Europe is off the hook, guys. I'm telling you, we got to get to Europe. Anybody out there listening, we want to go to England. We want to go to Australia. We'll go to New Zealand as well.
Europe is calling us.
Yes.
The guy from Germany wants to review Rhythm of the World. Are we into it? Yeah, we're into it.
So yes.
We've gone international. Now we have to physically go international.
Yeah.
We can't wait for the big tour to England and Germany and Australia.
Those two countries, that's all we'd need. England and Germany, we could rock it. Go on all the Air Force bases and all that in Germany.
It could be easy, and they're not large territories. I mean, we're told like you go to England, that's like going to New England in terms of what do you got to cover there to play. Well,
right.
A lot of land, Okay, so the Happy Together tour. Oh, wait a minute. April 15th is Wheeling, West Virginia with Lou Christie. Lightning striking me again. Anyway, that's going to be a fun one. And April 16th, we're going to Westerly, Rhode Island, folks, for a show there. I forgot the name of the theater because it's
and that's a threesome show. These are threesome shows.
Yes, that's a threesome show. And actually, the threesome show in West Virginia is with a backup band, whoever they're going to be. We love this now. It's always
right. Right. That is. But when we go up to Westerly,
right,
it's just us.
It's just the three of us, guys. But look, we're going to come in there with stories, history. It'd be like kind of like a house concert, like Susan does house concerts,
Yes.
We visit more. And we want to go through some fun stories that we can have and take the time to have, because it's going to be like a 90-minute show. It'll be fun to get into that kind of stuff.
I'm sure it'll be a small place, right? Do we know
I think it's about 400 seats.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I do remember now. They broke I think it's 600 or something.
Well, we'll pump it. We'll get it going,
Yeah.
I know Taylor Swift lives there, so we'll ask her to get some of the Swifties over to fill those empty seats. We can get some local help there.
Where does she live?
In Westerly. She has a house.
She does?
There. Well, maybe she sold it, but yeah, she bought a house there. Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, it was when she was enamored with one of the Kennedys, and she bought it because it was near them. I think.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Can correct us on that. We're elderly, as you know. But
right.
Anyone know Taylor? Just ask her about Westerly and get some of her peeps over there to the theater for the Cowsill show. And that could be really cool. We would dig that very much. So that's April 16th. So
that's right.
Fun. And then it's Flower Power Cruise time. And just open house on the Flower Power Cruise, guys. We know that. Then it's the Happy Together.
Happy Together. And I wonder how many shows we're going to do.
Wow. Last summer was a record, 57.
It was. And Mark is going to be back out with us, right?
Oh, we're hearing that. And until we hear otherwise, we're living that.
Yeah.
That's our leader. I mean, if Mark's there, you just go, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
I mean, not downplaying when he isn't, because we have very much fun, but it's going to be so good to have him back and up there. He's very funny on stage. He's very witty. I miss his dry humor. When he's just or even when he forgets to stop talking like we do sometimes, and he's going on and on out there. We're going, geez, this guy better wrap up his talk here.
Crazy. Yeah.
One thing about Happy Together, guys, online, they're starting to post Happy Together dates, because what happens is it's not necessarily our agency doing it, but the venues start promoting it. That's why you see June almost full, because those venues want to promote the June shows. It's why
Right now. Yeah.
yeah, August is pale, and July, because those venues, they don't want to promote the August shows. They're still promoting their June shows. So
Right.
don't
So,
misinterpret. Right.
right. The people, yeah, you need to wait till, shoot, man, like till really close to the end of May before you start thinking, hey, they're not coming to my town, because these dates are coming all the way until we do leave. So just keep your eye peeled, and we'll probably be where you think we're supposed to be, even though it's not out on the website yet.
Yeah, the most shocking of them is when I'm reading the answers. They see what's out there at this point. They go, "Oh, you're not coming to Deadwood, folks? You know we have come to Deadwood every year since
Every
we
year.
existed. Effingham, you're not coming to Effingham, folks. You know we come to Effingham every summer, and yes, we're
Yeah.
coming there. They just don't want you to really publicize too soon on some of these venues, and we understand that. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we have heard, come to Texas. Why don't you ever? We don't know. Okay, well, Texas is the size of 3 United Kingdoms. You need 5 shows in Texas. Well, we'll go get 5, but we don't get the Texas thing. They might misread the demographic. We think this show should appeal to everybody, and we don't know the thinking. But I understand the Texas group, like, say what? No,
I
Texas.
know it's a huge state. You'd think we'd be there.
I know. Hey,
So
go ahead.
I was just thinking, so have we told them about what's going to happen on our next podcast with Kevin?
Well, I was just going to say future podcast guests. I have a
Yes.
note here. And we have heard from Kevin Jonas, the Jonas brothers' father.
Yeah.
We'll find out, either wrote a book, or they have their own podcast, not the Jonas brothers, but Kevin, the dad, has a podcast.
Oh, really?
The partner, I think, or something, because they had
Okay.
Tony Orlando on. And the reason they found us is because we had Tony Orlando on, and they want to listen to our interview with Tony Orlando. So they had
Oh,
Tony Orlando, and that connected us.
got
And
ya.
then we heard from the rep saying, "Look, we loved your episode with Tony. Kevin would love to do your podcast." Well, duh,
Yeah, yeah. I wonder
And
if I wonder if Kevin ever has the kids on.
well, I wonder if Kevin books them.
Right, right. God,
Guys,
man, it's going to be a fun time with Kevin, because, we can really get into, because we had a dad who was running a show, and we're not dads running a show. And so Kevin is just like our dad,
yes,
in that, or we assume that he was there early on, telling them, hey, this is what we're going to do. I mean, we don't know. It'll be fun.
But look, we'll have a your dad, our dad column. And we'll go,
Yeah.
and we can compare. So Kevin, what do you think is the worst thing you ever did in the career of your kids? If you could come up with something, because we got lots of those. We'll have some
Yeah.
fun with him. And we'll say,
Oh, yeah.
what was your attitude at the top? Once you got to the top, what did you do that our dad didn't?
To keep it there, to keep it going.
There, and not take it down. And we can have a lot of fun.
And I think, didn't the Jonas Brothers come on strong and heavy, and then did they fade away a bit and then come back?
I know they faded away, and then I believe Nick became a kind of a solo star.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
going out
acting and singing. I believe we can ask him, but yeah, I think they did, because when they came back with that song, I forgot the name of it. It's one word, hooked or. Hey, our first guest has arrived.
Oh, we're in the middle of our show. Oh, okay. Hi, y'all. Sorry, guys. I thought it was at 2, but it's not. And so here I am. Hi.
We're talking about that we're getting bookings, and Kevin Jonas is going to come on, and we're going to be able to, have a pretty fun conversation.
I have a lot about that. A lot about the Jonas thing. I mean, the kid's got to be here, you guys. Your niece is flipping.
Oh, wait a minute. It's the dad.
She doesn't care. That was her future father-in-law.
You just said the kids have to be there. But actually, Paul and I were asking, gee, I wonder if he, like, hey, Nick, get in the car. We're going to do something fun.
Oh, God. I'd die, she'd die.
Or it became like Bud Cowsill, our dad, and they don't talk to each other. But I don't believe.
No. Kevin's good. I trust me. I have inside scoop. These are happy people, happy lives. I mean, look, everybody's got a moment or two, but I'm telling you, nothing Nothing.
Hey,
No.
Susan, you might know this. We're trying to figure this out. We think
Yes.
that, so the Jonas Brothers, they come on strong, but then they kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nick seemed to have a solo career. What things are going on with Nick? And then they came back with that one song. Do you know that? It's one word. I can't remember the name of it. Uh,
Like Sweat or something.
Nah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, they came back, but we think there was a gap there. We're wondering about.
Okay, so I do know. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that, like, look, they started out, busted out like crazy. They are a family. I think their functionality made them all say, we need to take a break. Nick's got some stuff he wants to do, but no big deal, no freak out, no breakup, just reassembled, much like us, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
And Miranda said, when I said, Kevin, the dad, I said, God, I hope they're still talking. And she said, Mommy, he was on stage with them last week. The dad.
Wow.
So I don't know about that. Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was reading a note. I apologize.
That's
Hey,
okay.
listen, that is all I need to hear. Okay.
So they're in good stead. So this is going to be amazing. And how do we get Nick in the car?
Well, now you can't fade.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Because
all right.
I mean, Kevin Jr. is still probably dealing with the fact that maybe they know Nick and Joe, but Kevin's the
Okay. Okay. Maybe Kevin Jr. is dealing with that. Bob, that was very caring of you.
Is there a Kevin Jr.?
Oh, yes. It's Kevin, brother. Joe, and Nick, and little Frankie.
Paul just proved my point. I can go Nick, Joe. Oh, Kevin Jr., right. See, I know. I'm sure
look, guys. Much like us, the boys all have the girls that like each guy. Kevin has his own tribe. Joe's got his. Nobody's left out. Nick, of course, was Barry, but everybody's got to have a Barry, right?
Yeah, we got that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
But they're cool. They're not messed up. They're good. I think.
And I do want to ask about the Jonas mother. I'm just curious about that, or
that's kind of weird. I should know about her. Maybe I should text Miranda.
Are these three boys the only sons in the family? Are there Jonas sisters?
No sister, and little Frankie, who joined later.
Frankie's not there now.
No, but in and out with Frank, like Jimmy Osmond, in, out.
We need to know more about Frankie. I want to know more about Frank.
It's going to be amazing. It'll probably be our best one ever.
All right. We have one gripe today, and I think we have just enough time to cover it. So you do in 4 minutes. Listen, guys, pledge music. And now here's my gripe. My gripe are the complaints that keep coming in for people who have the ability to come in our Facebook page, the Cowsills, and gripe to us about how can I not have my post? How can I not have my signed album? How can I? And this is a lousy way to treat your fans. Now, these are clueless folks who don't take—
Who said that?
Fans that are complaining. These are clueless fans and folks who don't take the time. Seemingly, they have the knowledge to get to Facebook and lodge a complaint, but they don't want to take the extra time to go in and see the one after another explanations, video, audio for 2 years about the situation.
Come on.
Because the thing is that it went bankrupt. It took everybody's money. It took all the money that we had in there. Nobody ever got money, and then we decided that we're going to have to try to
Rock, who ponied up.
Right. But, the thing is that, there's still posters, and there's other than just a CD, there were all these other things happening. And, I'm afraid that it might be too much for us, because there is no money to do all of that. We lost that money, and Rock, our executive producer, has been kind enough to help us out with the CDs and stuff like that.
Here's the thing about this, casters and disgruntled ex-Cowsill fans or whatever we've created here. If Rock had not come in, here's the skinny, we wouldn't have been able to give you anything, and y'all would be out whatever you gave us, and then you'd really hate us because we're broke.
Well, here's
and we can't pay you what you put in, right, guys?
Well, to Susan's point, okay, if Rock hadn't have come in, then we would have sat there not making our number, and there would be no album. There would be no Rhythm of the World.
Hello.
So at least, Rock came in, made sure we got that album done for everybody. But as far as extrapolating that out into the world of merch and what everybody's expecting to get, what do you think, Bob?
No, here's the thing.
Okay.
At one point, I've been reading all the complaints. Okay, they're constant. They're not going to.
I'm glad I haven't.
You're going to get more. I've responded to many personally. Here's the deal. What you people need to understand, we did not get $70,000. And then
Right.
Pledge Music went under. We got nothing. You lost $18, 24. The poor woman in Seattle, 3,000. That was the big one for the.
That's the concert.
We're still going to do that.
Oh, that one is warranted.
We're going to do as much as we can.
We are upsetting so many people.
I had no idea, and I'm sorry that you have that because you read them all.
It seems to be that we may have taken on something bigger than we could handle, and it's backfiring. We will keep you posted on a decision we're having talks about. This is not going the right way. It's not helping anybody.
Well,
I don't want to continue to get yelled at for selling Rhythm of the Worlds at our shows when you haven't gotten yours yet. And by the way, 400 to 500 Rhythm of the Worlds have gone out, but it's not helping the overall picture. Everyone's mad who doesn't understand what happened. And I'm done answering to them because I've answered for 2 years multiple times.
Okay. And now I would like to finish Bob's statement by saying the following, man. And if Paul wants to end a period, he can. Anybody who knows us, the Cowsills, knows darn well that there's nothing untoward going on here. We're the most painfully honest people you'll ever meet. We will give you our hamburger before we'll eat it. So if you're not getting something, it's because we can't pull it off, not because we've kept something of yours or even have something of ours we're not sharing. End of story. It's not who we are, y'all. And anybody who knows us knows that. And so we have described and explained a bunch. My big brother's done. I might go on if we have to, but Polly, I mean, that's it. We are doing the best we can. We may have bit off more than we can chew, but not without the best of intentions.
Right.
That's that.
But you have to be real when your best wasn't good enough. You just got to face it, deal with the fallout.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know what else to say about that. But
yeah, apologies all around. We're going to still keep going at it. But as far as you being unhappy with us.
Yeah. And, you know, if anybody's really unhappy and it's about a CD, then come to our show and we'll give you a CD.
That we had to buy to get $2 off of. We have to pay the company, of course.
Right. We have to buy our own
you guys,
CD.
I know it looks great.
And for all you people that just heard Paul say that and think that's a pathway to a free CD, we are going to carry around a list of Pledge Music people, alphabetical.
Hey.
You better be on it if you ask for one.
Okay. Hey, Bob.
Sean
can get us that.
Huh?
Sean Kelly can get us a list.
I have it. I have that list.
Wow. That'd be funny at our meet and greet. Somebody comes and, hey, I'm here for my free CD.
I'm a disgruntled fan.
And we'll go, well, what's your name? And they'll go, oh, my name's Ruby Robot. And then we'll go like this. We'll go, oh, well, let's see if you're on the list. No, you're not. Trying to
wait, but if you are, like, if you're not on it and you want to buy one, we're all like this. But if you're on the list, we're like, here's your CD.
No, we'll be very nice.
No, never. That would never happen. We're really, again.
You know, we felt so bad when the Pledge Music dropped. I mean, but we got all of our feelings about that a couple of years ago where we stressed and, you know, went, oh my God, you know, and we've just been having our nose to the grindstone trying to get this album done and out, you know, and that's the most important thing, is to get the music out in the airwaves. And so, yeah.
Can I share something about Steve Smith and the Nakeds?
Please, let's talk about them.
Well, I just want to clear up one thing, because all the women, how do you name your band the Nakeds? The problem, real in a sentence, I want to clear that up. They were called the Naked Truth. Well, we all know that phrase, but they found out a lot of bands are called the Naked Truth. And they're
crazy.
And their fans at the time had nicknamed them the Nakeds in terms of like, hey, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go see the Nakeds down at the, you know, whatever. So, well, all right, we'll just be Steve Smith and the Nakeds. But here's the deal. They're supported by Narragansett beer, okay, which is, we all know, a New England, Rhode Island beer, Narragansett. And I don't know what it is about being a transplant from there. But when I saw that, I liked the band better. Okay. I don't know why, because of the Narragansett thing. In the same way that in Jaws, when Quint, the captain of the orca that's going to catch the shark, he's on there and he's chugging an Narragansett in the movie because it's supposed to be on Cape Cod. I had the same thing.
Yep.
I said, dude, Quinn's chugging an Narragansett. That is so money. I don't know why.
I saw that and registered.
Didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, when you're watching the movie.
When
yeah.
you're watching that movie, we all saw that Narragansett can. That's hilarious.
All of us did.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't even know the dialogue that was going on. That could have been that we need a bigger boat scene. I don't know.
Me either, brother, but I remember seeing it going, wow, that's authentic. And they did film on the island, guys.
They were in Cape. Well, they did. Cape Cod, I think. Yeah.
What we found interesting about Steve, and he can answer to this, maybe it's just not written down, but if you look at all the places they've played, and if you just look at their normal schedule, it never speaks about getting into Newport to play. I find that interesting.
We don't see Newport.
Okay. No Newport, huh? No Bambies, no Dorians.
They own the Northeast. No... They are Rhode Island. I mean, look at the gigs. Rhode Island sees them every weekend almost. They're a hard.
Hey, that would have been a good question.
Now, in terms, well, here's another one. In terms of the 10-piece, their 10-piece band. So I wanted to ask him, well, when did you jump to that? And his
I counted 11.
This is great. Going. He said his quote was, when I decided I wanted to sound better and not make so much money, rather than make some money and sound lousy. This is his quote. Now, Paul and I wanted to ask him, how did you find 9 other musicians to follow that business model?
Yeah. And how do you pay them?
And here's the real thing, guys. You got to come to the February 11th show to experience what I'm about to share with you. But when we were going back, Steve Smith and the Nakeds is going to be the Cowsill's trio backup band, February 11th in Cranston. And we were going back and forth. And what songs are you going to do? And we're going to do about 10 songs. A short set. We're opening for Steve because it's their 50th anniversary. They went into the Rhode Island Hall of Fame with us in 2013. And it's a big deal. So they're our backing band. And Steve goes, very excitedly, in the back and forth, hey, this is great. We got a 10-piece band. We got a 5-piece horn section. And you could read it like he was saying it like that, excited. And I wrote back, Steve, Rain the Park and other things you need like it here don't have horns. And he wrote back, ... but we wrote horn parts. And so was my reaction. I said, I'm going with this. We're horning up. We are horning up. And I'm interested. I think I'm going to go.
Hey, that'll be fun, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, did one of you guys say in a text blood, sweat, and Cowsills? Because I like that.
Did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what.
That was funny. I liked that.
Yeah, that's what we got ourselves into. Well, by the way, we did tell everybody, yes, that from West Virginia, Wheeling on April 15th, tax day, the very next day, we're flying into Providence and we're going to be at that theater in Westerly, Rhode Island on April 16th.
That's after the Virginia one.
Yeah, we found early morning flights in Pittsburgh. Right on. Oh my gosh, I think we got Steve Smith. It can only be Steve Smith. And
I guess so.
Maybe he's naked because I can't see him yet.
Oh, there you are. Are you
there? Oh, there you are.
Oh my God.
Bless your heart, Steve.
I'm doing it from my phone. I put some stuff up so people could see what's going on over here.
All right, Polly.
Everybody give a listen right to this next half hour or so to Steve Smith, who is a part of Steve Smith and the Nakeds. Probably the biggest band. We got so many questions for this guy, man.
Job, Bob.
We're going to be here 2 hours.
Yeah, we go as long as we want. We go as short as we want. Now, this is a picture of the band. And
that's an old picture of the band.
I know it is. That's right there. But here's a newer picture. And this is
okay.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite newer ones because a picture like this is timeless.
Oh, that's a great one. Now go the other. Okay, thank you.
You
Bob.
haven't lived until you've been caricatured. And look at that, Steve Smith and the Nakeds right there.
Okay, but there's 10 in that. Was there 11 in one of those other shots, Steve?
No, there's always been 10.
Yeah.
All right, I was one off.
10.
Yep, we're always been 10.
First of all, I'd like to welcome you to the Cowsill podcast. We're so glad you made it, and we understand, so no worries. You sent us some stuff that we read about on you, and we know a lot about you, but I'm just going to start you off a little earlier, and I want it out of your mouth. So Steve is born. Steve has his folks. He's a kid. He grows up. He gets a tricycle. He gets a bike. He's now forming thoughts. is Steve thinking fireman, garbage man, ditch digger, or is Steve already feeling music?
Hockey player.
Hockey player? Is he feeling
Hockey.
athletic? Is he feeling, and are his folks like, where are you heading? Do you know you're going to be this Steve sitting there right now when you get kick started, and how does it
Okay.
all go?
Let me tell you how it all started.
Okay.
When I was my cousin John Cafferty, who is my cousin, my real cousin.
We discussed that.
My mother was a Cafferty, and we lived in the same beach house in Roy Carpenter's Beach in Matunic, Rhode Island. We grew up together in the same beach house. We had 3 families, and I know you guys are familiar with the area. They had these little cottages. It had 3 bedrooms, a 20 by 20 cottage, 3 families. So I ended up growing up until I was 12 years old with my cousin John.
Okay.
But every Saturday night, the fathers would come down to hang with the gang, and my Uncle John would have a show every Saturday night, and each one of us would have to get up in front of the refrigerator and sing a song or do something, tell a joke or do our act. My first public appearance in front of the refrigerator. Now all the family came over. So there's a 20 by 20 house with 30,000 people in it. At 4 years old, I sang Pat Boone's Love Letters in the Sand. And the rest is history.
Okay. So you were right from the top,
Wait,
right
I'm
from
sorry.
the get-go. Go ahead, Bob.
I need some follow-up.
Go ahead.
That was just too quick. Because at 4 years old, I didn't know I was going to be 5 in a year. So I knew nothing before. Now, honest to God, at 4 years old, what's something's influencing you in getting into that young brain? I need to know how you ended up singing a Pat Boone song in front of a refrigerator at the age of 4.
Okay, so every Saturday night at Roy Carpenter's Beach, there was a record hop, and there was a DJ, and they used to play all kinds of 50s and 60s music at this record hop. So, of course, before we went to bed, it was to the record hop and then home to perform in front of the refrigerator.
Coming into your head. Wow. That is incredible. This seems to be a pretty big event. Do you have any memory of like some kind of reaction as you as a kid thinking something along the lines of, hey, this is pretty cool?
Oh, yeah. Well, I must have liked it, and
Yeah.
the same thing with you. 4 years old, what are you thinking? I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. They're all clapping for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like me. I'm sticking with this. I don't care what it is. But so, all right. So you grew up with your cousin. We do know. I know it. I see these boys go into a back room and just play.
Yeah.
When do you guys start going from the fridge and uncles and dads are getting you all together to, hey, maybe we can, when does that move along?
The Beatles arrived.
64. Copy
Yeah.
that.
The Beatles arrived. I was in I told Bob, I said Bob the thing earlier.
Mhm.
I was in St. Philip's School. I went to St. Philip's School. So I was the
Excuse
first
me,
graduating class.
That's where Logan and Claire go, Susan. He lives in Smith.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
Crazy.
The school with this whole connection is so crazy. It's beyond me. But I was the first graduating class. The school started in '64, and it started with the first 4 grades. So I was in the 4th grade. Then they added a 5th. Then they added a 6th, 7th, and 8th. And in the 8th grade, the Beatles came out, and all my buddies and me were all like crazy about the Beatles. So we started a band in the 8th grade. It was called the Blokes. And
yeah, I saw that.
Because it sounded British.
Well, the British Invasion, yes.
Yeah, of course.
We learned 3 songs. It was Twist and Shout, Ferry Cross the Mersey, and oh God, what was the last one? I can't think. Oh, the Bro Brumbles.
Laugh.
Laugh. No. I can't
Laugh,
stay. Yes, yeah. Laugh. So we had this real hip nun. And back then it was all nuns.
Yeah.
And she was really hip. She was the flying nun in our eyes. And we told her that we had a band. And she said, well, why don't you bring the band in and play in front of the class? Now, this is 8th grade, and this is like '64.
Yeah.
And so one day after school, one day we brought all the gear in, we played up, and she never told anyone that she was doing this. So we're playing, wailing away. Down comes the principal, right? She's also a nun, Sister Maria Santa. She comes in the back room, and she's got the face like, what the heck is going on here? You're like pissed, right? And then she starts listening, and now a smile comes across her face, right? So we play our thing. Everybody goes crazy, and now the pastor at the time was Father McNamara, and he was a fire and brimstone, pastor, and he found out that this happened, and they both got reprimanded. Both nuns got reprimanded for bringing the devil's music into the Catholic school.
Oh, the Beatles thing, being devil. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's when everybody
started.
Wow,
that's extreme.
Our version of that is walking around the house, and again with our band, when the Beatles came up, game changer. We're done with folk music. The hair comes down, the bushwhack's gone. Here's the gear you buy. Here's the songs you learn, and our dad's version of that's what's with the hair. And you go,
yeah, right. Beatles, my father used to say, "Get a haircut. You look like a shaggy dog."
Yeah.
But
and my hair was probably like right here,
right.
And I still
it wasn't
my
anything.
ears.
It just wasn't a crew cut. It's really
no, it wasn't. And every summer at the beach, we all got rah-rahs. It was
we all got them too.
But you had to find some good young musicians. All right, Twist and Shout, 3 chords, and but Ferry Cross the Mersey and Laugh Laugh. These are not easy undertakings. So you clearly,
no, Laugh is not.
You clearly have played all of those. You've clearly
that's too many minors in a row, man.
Right, and the funny thing about it is the guitar player was phenomenal, and he had a Mosrite, blue Mosrite guitar. His father bought him, and the Ventures guitar.
Yeah,
and we were all like, wow, So in the 9th grade, my cousin joined the band, and we changed the name to the Nightcrawlers.
Okay.
And we were in the 9th grade, and we played at a Battle of the Bands in Smithfield against 2 college bands. I have pictures of all of this stuff.
Oh, great.
Because my cousin Wendy had a Yes camera. Remember the Yes camera? The black and white Yes camera she took everywhere with her. So we ended up winning the Battle of the Bands, beating all these college bands. It was crazy. So yeah, we had history. So
yeah, that is so cool in terms of the hit. Now, clearly, you have someone coming around. We didn't get that. Our parents never bought cameras. It wasn't part of our life, But are we going to expect someday for you to release the refrigerator performances?
I don't know, but I know in Beverly Circle where I lived, I had a picture of Pat Boone on my bulletin board till.
So you were a big fan.
Oh yeah, till I was about 10. I had Pat Boone.
Okay, I thought you were embarrassed. Oh, okay.
But no, I wasn't embarrassed. But then Pat Boone got replaced by Little Richard. And that was the end of that.
We're going more.
Whoa, wait.
Susan, we're into the Andrews sisters, the McGuire sisters, the Osmonds, the Lennon sisters. We're going to morph too. It's just
yes.
The difference between
you guys are bailing on all your go-tos for these
what are we
guys
morphing
from England.
But we're all going to morph to the cooler side of all of this, and what's good?
Me and John grew up every summer in the beach house, and he played guitar, and I just sang, and so me and John got this harmonizing thing like you guys, like
you got the DNA,
right? So we play together. We still play together a lot,
cool.
And we, like it was always I take the high part, you take the low part, but Beatles tunes, and I can remember we used to see who could get the next Beatle album first. Run to the beach house and play it.
Hey, Steve, wasn't it an interesting phenomenon though? That's all we could do was get those records and listen. They're not on TV yet. They're not coming to your town. No. We don't even know what they look like. We didn't even know what a bass guitar was. We're going to learn quick.
Yep.
This is about a foursome. And once at the 3 Ed Sullivans, that was school, of course. And we could learn so much from those 12 songs they did on those.
That's the most amazing part of you guys is how many times you were on Ed Sullivan and how many times I saw you on Ed Sullivan. It's just
Well,
Like
amazing.
you caught it each time.
Yeah. Oh my
We-
God. Yeah.
We
Of
lucked
course,
out.
Rhode
there.
Island. All of Rhode Island was watching.
Yeah.
Right.
All 20 TVs in Rhode Island were watching it. So
All 20 TVs. Exactly. Exactly.
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, but when do you learn sax? I mean, is that ongoing in school or?
No. What happened was when I became a sophomore, my voice started to change. So couldn't sing that good anymore. So I started playing sports in high school. And I
Because
played.
it changed. Your voice changed and you freaked
My
out.
voice was changing because of that, puberty and all that stuff. And then, so I got into sports, and I kind of got left the band thing for a little while. And then I ended up playing hockey for Providence College.
Yeah, I saw that.
I ended up being all state, and I ended up going Providence College. And I was a walk-on, and they wouldn't give me any money. So at my sophomore year, I decided, I can't be going to school, going to play hockey, going to practice, going to school. So I ended up quitting hockey, and I got in a band. And friends said, "Why don't you join our band? We'll let you join our band. You were really good before." So I joined that band, and that's when I started again. So instead of going to work for 40 hours after school, I'd play Friday and Saturday night and make twice as much money in the band. And that's where it really kicked in. So the band that I was in was called Bloody Mary. And
that's a funny thing that happened to you when you get paid for the first time.
Oh my God. I get paid to do this.
I was 12. My brother was 13, and we got $10 singing at the Newport Guild Women's Luncheon. That was our first.
I played at that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we do have a question about Newport.
Hey, Steve, so, I read everything, and gosh, man, you guys play so much and all Rhode Island gigs and stuff, but I never saw you guys in Newport.
Oh, yeah. Well, after a while, we used to play there, but we played Harpo's. Remember Harpo's in Newport?
No.
We left in 67.
Okay, yeah. So we never played. I wasn't playing out that early, that young, so.
God,
Oh,
no, well,
there you go.
We've done the Cowsill Hill. We've done.
Oh,
there was
great!
A place
You
called
played Castle Hill. Wow.
Oh yeah, they used to do a Sunday afternoon concert series. We played for Kevin Stakem at his place. What was it? The Harborside. There's another the Newport Blues Cafe.
Oh, Newport Blues. We did that.
Yeah, we know about that.
And what was the other one? Before, right across from Second Beach, there was a place called the White Elephant.
Yes.
Way back when. Yeah, we played there.
Did you ever do the Bastille?
From Second Beach, where? Y'all?
Right across the street, there's a hotel there now.
Oh, by the East Beach Hotel. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Easton.
We're Johnny's Atlantic Beach Club across the street.
Yeah, and Flo's Clam Cakes.
Right up further. I'm down on Second.
As a matter of fact, you'll never believe this, Paul. We played in Flo's Clam Shack.
Oh, no!
We played there.
Downstairs?
We were
upstairs?
No, the little tiny shack.
We know the place.
And you know how small it is, right?
Yes.
And we played in there with 10 pieces. And I was my stage. I was standing on a milk carton.
I love it.
Okay, but wait. So Flo's is upstairs and downstairs. Were you all up at the bar, or were you down like where all the dining, most of the dining goes?
No, there's a little clam shack. It didn't have a second floor. I don't know what.
Well, it does now. Flo's Clam Shack right there at the corner. We know where we are. We're across. We're at Easton's Beach Hotel. We're all right there.
When it wasn't a second floor.
Okay, it's a two-story now.
It's two-story.
Did you ever play the Bastille?
No.
The rotunda thing on Easton's Beach, First Beach.
No.
How about the canteen?
The canteen? Nope. I don't think that was there.
That was a little.
We're going down.
Okay, sorry. We're getting all homey about it now.
There was another one called Maximilian's that was on the second floor.
Okay.
And Harpo's was a big one back then too. So
I love it.
Can I ask that we got to get into some specifics because we can.
Okay, go Bob, go. We're reminiscing, y'all.
I'm going to cover one area. Being a transplant from Rhode Island, anytime, and this goes back to Jaws when we were seeing Quint, the captain of the Orca, to catch the the shark chugging a Narragansett beer. Now, well, when you see that and you're from there, you go, and I don't even know what they're saying. Oh my God, he's drinking Narragansett beer. Look at this guy, Quincy, chugging a Narragansett. And you guys got a relationship with them. I am really curious because when I read that, and I knew that about you guys a long time because that's pretty prominent in your presence. I liked you before I heard you. It's that Rhode Island thing. Narragansett. Well, if they like them, well, certainly. I mean, anyway, that's a big get.
We drank Narragansett beer from the time we started the band, and we always drank beer. We drank beer before we were old enough to drink Narragansett beer, and all of our fathers drank Narragansett beer. And even back in the 70s and 80s, when we did a show, our rider said 3 cases of Narragansett beer as part of our rider. And when you when you join the band, and this is the honest to God's truth, when you joined the band, your initiation was a tour of the brewery.
Wow!
You had to go.
Bob, you asked the question. You knew it.
Wow!
So when you first got in the band, you had to go with the whole band and tour the brewery. And there was the tour guide was a guy named Johnny English, and you walked the whole brewery, and then you went to the 1890s room after the tour where they let you sample all the beer. And believe me, we never walked out of there.
And you're here today to talk about it.
I'm here today to talk about it. So my favorite story is my trumpet player who's been with me for 50 years. He was 17 years old when he got in the band, and his name is the Kid. We call him the Kid. He's over 60 now, but we still call him the Kid. Well, his initiation of the brewery, we brought him there, and his brother Bob, who got in the band the same year I did. He got in the band at 50 years. His older brother is a sax player. Now the father used to work for Narragansett Brewery, but he didn't anymore. But he's a wicked beer drinker, but he's also a really good musician. So we went to the brewery. We took the Kid to the brewery. He was all drunk, and I brought him home, and I threw him in the door and I left. 10 minutes later, the phone rings. It's the father, right? And we called him the Cobra. His nickname was the Cobra, and I go, he goes, Shredded, yeah, it's the Cobra. I said, oh man, I'm screwed, right? I'm gonna get murdered here.
Trouble.
And he goes, you take my son and get him all bumbly to the brewery, and you don't invite me?
Oh, that was his issue?
He was pissed because I didn't ask him to go.
I love it.
Someone
is so Rhode Island, man. Yep. Only in Rhode Island.
You didn't take me.
Mad you're not drinking, inviting him to go drink.
So how does the relationship happen?
Well, they closed the brewery in 1983. And Falstaff bought it, and then they ran it into the ground. They closed it, so they moved it to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then they sold the license to Gansett to Pabst, who was their biggest competitor in Rhode Island. So Pabst bought the formula and stopped making the beer. So when Mark Hellendrone in 2005 decided he wanted to bring the beer back to Rhode Island, he bought the recipe back, and at the time in '85, I was on the Miller Rock Network. Okay, Miller hired Steve Smith and the Nakeds to represent the Northeast, bringing back Miller, the champagne of bottled beer Miller, because Light had taken over at the time, and regular Miller had lost its luster. So they put this program together. They recruited 16 bands all over the country to promote Miller High Life.
Okay.
And so for 2 years we did that. So when Mark Hellendrone bought the brewery, I went to him and I said, listen, I want to be the official band of Narragansett Beer. And he was like 37 years old at the time. And he's like, what? I said, yeah. He goes, well, what do I got to do? So we're in this big conference room at Wayne Distributing, which was the distributor for Miller. he's at one of the conference table and I'm at the other, like the Jerry Lewis movie with, like the gigantic conference table. And we're yelling at each other. I said, you know what, let me get a little closer. So we start talking. And I'm telling him, we've always drank Narragansett beer. I brought the old Riders. I said, when we had our band house, our Christmas order was for empty beer, beer cans, and showed him this and showed him pictures and this and that. And I said, I was on the Miller Rock Network for 2 years. We promoted their beer. He goes, well, what do I got to do? I said, well, first of all, you got to give me 3 cases of beer a night, wherever we play.
You sound like the Continental Drifters. Go.
Wherever we play, we need 3 cases of beer. Then you're going to give me T-shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff to give away. And we'll drink your beer on stage and we'll promote and say, Gantz is back or whatever we got to do. And he goes, that's all I got to do is give you 3 cases of beer. And I said, yeah. He goes, when do we start? When do we start? But when we started the discussion, he was like sitting there like this, looking at me like, oh, what's this kid trying to sell, right? Mm-hmm. And then in 20 minutes into it, he was like, you what? You did what?
You're
you pulled
you're
it
a
up.
wee genius.
What we've noticed, Steve, as we're researching, there's a lot of things in common between us. This being one of them. I'll get to that in a second. We got to get into the Family Guy. I'm huge. Unbelievable. And we're on Simpsons a few times, but not named or like you got on Family, but right. Common. And this story here reminds me, it's always different with us. We have the same relationship, not by choice, with milk. That you get to have Narragansett beer. So it's like, once again, we're talking to somebody that was in a cooler band, did cooler things than us.
It's the plight of the Cowsills.
Constant memory of the more fun everyone had when we weren't having the fun they were having. But hey, but with Narragansett being on your rider, surely you're playing out of New England. I need to know if you ever got any pushback of like, Narragansett, isn't that a bay in Rhode Island? What's the Narragansett?
Yep. You drink beer, you drink the sea, you drink the ocean.
Would they ship Narragansett?
Okay, look. It's not the land of sky blue waters. It's the bay water that makes cancer happen.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do we have to have milk on your rider to on February 11th?
Well,
it's on the rider.
Yes, 1 gallon is on there.
And I will admit, if you put double stuffed Oreos in front of it ain't going to be Narragansett beer that's chasing that stuff down.
Well, cookies and beer are a good thing. You know that, right?
I liked chocolate. I liked an Oreo with beer back in the day. Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah. And, well, another funny thing that we've both done is that you guys had a song in Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh, yes, we did.
And our song was in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
One.
Oh, you were in the first one. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, but guess what, guys? Can I have this moment? I bet you any money that Steve Smith got paid for his song.
Oh, yes, I did. But
good times.
Another difference. Because I heard about
go ahead. In Dumb and Dumber, you could hear yours. In Dumb and Dumber 2, we were in a pretty seedy scene and you could just about hear it. So I'm glad.
Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to trade with you. I'll take the money for 50.
No, I'm going to trade experiences. Number 1, Jim Carrey farted during our performance in Dumb and Dumber 2. So we're equal on that one.
Right.
Number 2, we knew nothing. Of course, I told people after the movie, I had meetings with him. He became a friend, but none of that happened. My daughter called me from a theater, your song's in this movie. Now, I didn't know it was going to become the greatest guy movie ever made, but that's how we found out. And but we're glad to know that you were good business on that, and stuck to your guns and got something for it, because that's such a cool thing.
The song that was in there was written by Nels Lofgren, so he got more money than we did.
Yeah. But at least you got performance.
Hey,
yeah, we got performance. Yeah, we
did. It's because the other insult, not that's an insult, but the other thing we weathered with the Dumb and Dumber experience was they put out the movie album, all the songs from Dumb and Dumber except ours.
Okay. No, we didn't make the soundtrack either.
Oh, good. Well, I feel good about
that. That's one less thing to be bummed about, guys.
I feel good that you felt bad at least once.
Yeah, but you guys were on Ed Sullivan. Oh my God!
I agree with you.
Can I give you context there? We were on twice. We had a 10-show deal, but we lost 8 of them because our dad got in a bit of a push fight with Bob Precht, Ed's son-in-law, a stepson or son-in-law or something. He was the producer, and Ed took 8 shows away from us. Now, had we known you at the time, we could have said, "Could you give a couple to Steve Smith and the Naked?"
Yeah, right.
But
yeah.
check it out. We got expelled from Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, we got expelled
because Dad was drinking Narragansett.
And fighting.
We should have took him on a tour of the brewery.
Yeah, you should have took them all right.
No, but we're not.
No, you wouldn't wanted to do that.
We're not
Steve.
downplaying it.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that to people we like.
I stand corrected because I've been telling everybody you were on this Ed Sullivan 7 times. I got the wrong. Now I have to correct myself.
You read the headline.
I thought you were on 7 times.
No,
I really did. But you were booked for 10.
That's why it was so easy for you to catch us on those 2.
Oh, okay.
It was great.
Everybody in the world, everybody in Rhode Island watched that show. So that was
because it was the top of the mountain
right?
then, as you know, and we were all pleased and punched to do it. I have another question. So eventually in your life, you're going to turn to this. Yeah, the Beatles and started you off. We're all doing pop songs, but you're going to leave pop songs behind and get into a little heavier scene. Okay,
right.
Eventually, and this is your philosophy. You got to the point where you thought it'd be great to not have to make so much money and sound great rather than make money and sound lousy.
Well, there was a time where when the drinking age went back to 21, the nightclub industry dried up. We were playing 7 nights a week. Oh. And when the drinking age finally went back to 21, we went from back to a weekend thing, back to a weekend band. The other thing that dried up when the drinking age went back to 20 was colleges. And as you guys know, in New England, if you stick a pin in Massachusetts and you draw a circle 50 miles, there's 150,000 colleges.
We did college schools. Yeah, we did colleges.
So from Labor Day to Christmas, we would do 40 to 50 colleges in that time period. From March to May, we would do over 200 colleges. Like we would do.
Sounds like our touring schedule.
Right. And but it was all on the weekend. It was like we'd do a spring break at UConn. Then we'd go back and do URI at 1 o'clock. Then we'd go do PC at 9 o'clock. Then the next day we'd drive to Connecticut and do University of New Haven. We would do like 5 shows in 3 days.
And your voice could manage that? Your voice could do that?
The good thing about singing Pat Boone in front of the refrigerator when I was 4 was that my father, who was into music, my father was into athletics and music, but and individually, the good thing about my dad and my mom was we were all individuals. And it wasn't, you're going to play baseball. No, you sing. I'm sing. He sent me to singing lessons. So I've been properly trained since 7 years old, vocally. I have a vocal training since then. And so I sing properly. And no, very rarely do I have a problem with my vocals, and I can go forever.
That's pretty cool.
So that's what happened during that era. But then we were doing it full time because we could make the money and not have to get a day gig, And then 1989, it started getting really bad, and guys started leaving the band. So we were down to like 7 pieces, I think, 3 rhythm and 3 horns, and me up front. And it sucked. It was horrible. So my bass player at the time said, "Listen, if we're gonna suck, why don't we go back to 10 pieces and at least sound good, And then we all got jobs to supplement our income,
Wow, what a cool way of accepting and approaching that.
Right. So instead of the band breaking up and going away, like I went to college for graphic design and marketing. So I had my first marketing job in 1989. And that's when I had my son. So I had to stop making more money. And I actually went to work for a guitar player that was in the band before the Nakeds, because he owned a graphic design company. So, but doing that, going back to 10 pieces, it started having a reverse effect. and it started coming back.
Wow.
And it just kept coming back and coming back. And like every milestone that we've had, like the Family Guy thing, the Dumb and Dumber 2, would, every time I think the band's done, it's over, that would happen. And all of a sudden, here we are.
It doesn't let you go.
Here we are again,
Yeah.
When we started recording in 78, and most of our, most recognizable stuff is through the 80s, And then in the 90s, we hooked up with Clemmons. Actually, in the 80s, we hooked up with him, and we toured with him for, till he passed,
Wow.
So,
what a sweet man.
Yeah, he was.
Now, you mentioned Family Guy. I got to point it out. Now, everyone out there, everything we're talking about, you can go right to the internet, right to YouTube, and you can see what we are talking about. And you got to see
the best history of the band is the Rhode Island Hall of Fame. The history there, right up, everything about up until 2013, that is so on the spot. Medrick did such a great job, and we talked for a week before he wrote that thing.
Wow.
And
I'll tell you what, I was totally exhausted, Steve, after reading your history. I was just going, man.
Oh, like, damn, this guy has more in his career than we had. Like in our, he's got like a real life-size career.
Yeah,
I know. And Medrick was exhausted by the end of that. The funny part about it was, he said, I have to write a story for the archives, and I need to talk to you. Can I come over for an afternoon? We got to go over a bunch of stuff. I said, Medrick, now we talked about my pictures of the band, the Yes camera and all that. My cousin Wendy used to clip things out of the paper for my cousin John and for me, and she would send them to me in little baggies. So I would take all of this stuff, all the write-ups and everything, and put them in a box and put them in the closet, thinking someday I'm going to open these boxes and put them in scrapbooks, which I never did. So I told this to Medrick. I said, Medrick, I have like 20 boxes in my closet with everything we've done since day one, right? I said, you should come over here. We'll go through the boxes. And it took a week because every time I pulled something out, I'd go, oh, I remember this.
I gotta look at it.
I remember this. I got arrested that. I know.
Reminiscing.
Yeah. And he goes, he was astounded. He goes, this is incredible, and he took stuff and I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. And he just did such an incredible job. And they're going to be there. The Hall of Fame people are going to be there that night.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to try to raise a little money for the Hall of Fame that night.
We'll talk about that.
Well, that's the idea, right? That's why we're all getting, but you're getting inducted. Are you inducted or what? No, this is your 50th anniversary.
No, they went in 2013 with us, Susan. Steve.
Yeah, you're the 50th anniversary.
It's our 50th. We were supposed to do the Legend Show in October. And right. And there was a real bad storm, almost a hurricane storm.
The first thing.
Right. So that was going to be the Legend Show. That was going to be the Hall of Fame show.
Yeah.
So I figured since we couldn't do it with this 50th anniversary was always scheduled. It was scheduled before the Legend Show.
Before the Hall of Fame. Oh, right. Okay.
So I figured, Ed Brady, the owner of the park, said, we still have the Cowsills under contract. They said, well, why don't you just have them come to the 50th, and then it'll be 2 bands instead of 4.
Oh.
So, but are we raising? Yeah. Are we still raising money for the Hall of Fame?
Well, we're raising the money for the Hall of Fame, but it's going to be through donations and if we go over the nut, Ed's going to give us a donation.
Okay.
So we got to get the word out there. We want to sell the place out. The Ed Brady and his partner took the place over in January of last year, and that theater had been closed for 2 years before COVID because there was just a lack of interest. So they're trying to rejuvenate the theater. Okay.
So, the Cowsills and Steve Smith and the Nakeds.
Yep.
Let's go into the Rhode Island Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. Okay. Now here's my question. That was a blur to me. We came into town. We came into town. We did a show. We had to go somewhere else probably. And I'm in and I'm out. And I go, did that just happen? Yes, it did. Thank you. Now I see.
And it was awesome. By the way, it was awesome.
Well, thanks for telling us that. No.
But, But what I wanted to know is why weren't we all on a stage together? But were we on the same stage? Did that show go all day and night for everyone that was
Yes,
coming in?
yes,
And I
Yeah,
just
we were
yeah,
on that same, yeah.
I had to
yeah.
get out of there.
Everybody that got inducted that day performed. So it was.
Oh,
I don't remember who else was there, but
Well, we know who wasn't there, and that was George M. Cohan.
right, right, and
well, anyway,
what's
we're
his
just
name?
wondering about that because when we got the call, I mean, that's as good as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we got the call. You're kidding? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can imagine you.
So I'm on the I'm of course we're all members and I still take a big part in it because I still live here in Rhode Island and every
Right.
time they do something they ask me if I'll come and help and I say absolutely.
Of
That's one of the
course.
biggest honors I've ever gotten, and when
Yeah.
they pull that curtain off the thing I was like, this is crazy.
It's amazing.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps you saying it.
Yeah, but because really as long as a career we've had and how great a career we've had, we've never really like cracked the top 40
Got it.
or
Right.
we weren't on Ed Sullivan,
Right.
Right. But
but
you
you
had
guys,
your thing, man. You guys have your
oh
own level of what
yeah,
you've done.
I wouldn't change a thing,
Right on.
I wouldn't change a thing. I always said I don't want to be the next Elvis, but I'd like to be just a little higher than I am,
Sure.
Of
because
course, who wouldn't?
I
We
mean,
have that.
everybody struggles and everybody
Yeah.
has struggled,
Here's what
especially
here's what
when yeah, go ahead.
here's what we have in common. You love to clearly you guys love to perform.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. See that? We're that way. Because
Yeah.
believe me, Steve, there are decades where we had nothing, but we're performing
Right.
because
Right.
that's what we do, and the fun
Yep.
we have. But I gotta say, you people, I know you'll sample this band on YouTube. They're out there, you can hear their stuff, the energy, the energetic.
Yeah.
What took you
Yeah.
from pop and sent you down a bit of a harder jazz? You're gonna get influenced as young people with this. It's not just the Beatles, you
Yeah. Yeah.
a little
Oh no,
heavier.
when we were growing and maturing, the horn players are into that end of it, the jazz thing, and there was one time where we went through the chicoria phase, and because these guys can play,
Yeah.
Right.
they
That's
can
why.
play.
That's
They
why you
don't
go there. You
play.
go toward the professionals because you can do it.
Right, right, and who writes a check? My band right now tonight is rehearsing your show.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, and all I got to say to them is, here's what we got to do. We're going to make them look better than they are, and
Aw.
so my guys wrote horn charts for 6 of your songs.
Wow.
So you're going to be playing in front of the naked
We
Saturday
know.
night.
Yeah,
We're so excited.
we have told
Yeah.
everybody we are horning up, and we
We're
You
blood,
get-
sweat, and Cowsills, we're calling ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The naked blood, sweat, and Cowsill.
The naked blood, sweat, and Cowsills. I love it.
Okay, guys, we're really going on here, but we got to cover the Family Guy thing. You got to,
Yeah, you got to tell us the Family
Folks,
Guy
you got-
thing.
Well, it's another nepotism story. My brother Danny is one of the writers for Family Guy.
great.
Right on.
And he's 8 years younger than me. And when he was going to school, he was a roadie for me. But he went to school
Love it.
for acting and writing, and he's a phenomenal writer. And he landed that job out of all of his talent. When he moved to LA, he did stand up, he did acting, and then he got a job on a couple of sitcoms, and it just took off from there. So when he auditioned for the part for the writing job at Family Guy, Seth is from Connecticut. He went to RISD, and Family Guy was his senior project, right?
Wow.
So he showed it to his professor, and he gave him an F. He said, "This is you're handing this into me as your senior project. This is garbage,
Ah.
So
I love it.
he wrote a pilot, sent it to them. They picked it up. So when he hired Danny, was the first writer he hired because his agent said, "You got to go meet this guy." He went to school at RISD. The show's about Rhode Island. He's gonna love you, So they had a meeting, and Seth's right after like half an hour, he said, "You're hired." So he was the first writer, and he's been on that. So all along, Danny, Danny was a roadie for me when he was going to school. He was on our road crew, but me and him are like this. We're 8 years apart, and we are so tight. But that's his talent. He has that talent. And so he goes, I want to get. He wanted to get I'm Huge and the Babes Go Wild on a segment on a show, and have Quagmire. You know what a pervert Quagmire is, right? He's the pervert. So he wanted him on the show, and it was supposed to be all about Quagmire and him singing the song and going up to chicks and singing I'm Huge and the Babes Go Wild and all that stuff. And Seth, who is a big band aficionado, didn't get it. He goes, sometimes when you talk to Seth, he looks at you and like, he doesn't get it. Mm-hmm. So he said, well, let me put on the 6-season DVD. And he said, no problem. So they did that. They put on the 6-season DVD, and that was a big coup for us,
No kidding.
Can I say something? So guys, because it's a hoot, you know the dad, and he's sitting there and he's going, everyone's asking, how do you get such a hot wife? Because he's not hot. And he's going through all these things about, but the truth, that people that could explain it the best is a group, and he says it, a group out of Rhode Island, and it's Smith and the Nakeds, caricatured, of course, but the band is there, their name, he goes, and they put it best, and they go into this, I'm Huge, and the Babes.
That's so wonderful.
Yep. So I have a video you'll see that night that we did in 1983, a live video of I'm Huge that we recorded in Rhode Island. And it made basement tapes in New York back in the day on MTV. On MTV, yeah. And we dug it out of the archives, and we put it on. And was like, this is unbelievable, Like here we are, like 50 years ago,
yeah.
But that song brought us out of Rhode Island, brought us up and down the East Coast.
Nice.
There was a guy in Ohio named Daddy Wags. I don't know if you remember him, big DJ in Ohio. And he used to play it every morning, drive time, And but we still didn't get we didn't get our record deal until 2008. That's so many.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. We call that being a late bloomer.
No shit.
Never.
Bloomer. A late bloomer, and that's the name
Cowsills. They're continually blooming late.
Right. So that was the name before Family Guy. We recorded Never Say Never, and that's the gist of that album. Never Say Never. Always reaching for the gold ring, but never getting it.
Yeah, the goldie. That's why you got to get up.
Great album covers.
And the album cover. Yeah. The carousel. The carousel
Super,
inside,
yes.
That's Crescent Park.
Oh,
that's the Crescent Park carousel. Yeah.
All right, Crescent Park. That's
cool. I got to chill. I got to go look.
We only went there a couple of times, but boy, when we were going there as little kids, we were out of our minds excited because it was happening.
Yeah, that's Crescent Park. We went to Lincoln Park more.
Yeah, right. You went to Smith Park.
We gotta wrap up and let Steve.
Well, can I say some things about the Clarence years?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because without Clarence, a lot of the stuff that we did wouldn't happen.
Absolutely.
Either. I met him in 1983 at a friend's funeral who had died from obesity, and back then there was no wheelchairs, no beds, no scales that would hold obese people. And my buddy who died from obesity, when he's from DC, would put the bands up at his house when they'd come into town. So that's how we got to know Clarence. And then when he passed, me and Clarence were pallbearers, and we said, we need to do something to bring awareness of this problem.
Yes.
And he goes, let's do a concert. So we started a big man's benefit every year. We did it for 11 years in DC. Wow. And then when Springsteen broke up the E Street Band, Clarence is like one of my best friends in the whole world. I'd rather hang out with him and go out to dinner and have him stay at my house than go to see him at a concert. Mm-hmm. And this is what I tell everybody. How come you never played with Bruce Springsteen? How come you never did this? How come you never did that? Because Clarence didn't want that. He wanted us to be his band, and he wanted to do his material. And I always say we were the girlfriend that nobody wanted to talk about, you know, because
Nice.
so
That's a
Nice.
good way.
so and then through the years when the E Street Band broke up, I called Clarence. He said, "What are you doing?" It's like 3 years, and he's like, "I'm not doing anything." I said, "Well, why don't you come to Rhode Island? I'll set up some gigs, and we'll go out and play for a couple of weeks." And he said, "Yeah, let's do that." Now here's a guy that stepped off the world stage, right, doing stadiums, right,
Yeah.
comes down off the world stage, gets in a bus with 12 sweaty old men, and starts playing the beach again. You know, playing at all the beach bars.
Awesome.
And it was so successful.
Loved
the next
it.
year, I said, "You want to do it again?" He goes, "Yeah, book a few more dates." So we did more. Then the third year, he called me. "We're going out this year." We called. So from that point on, it was like 20 to 30 shows a year.
But
We did Las Vegas. Yeah, we did Las Vegas together. We did the Ottawa Blues Festival together, and then I said, let's do an album. And he goes, yeah. He goes, so I raised money to do an album, and he wrote a song for it. He had Nels Lofgren write 3 songs for it, and we released it. But then 1997,
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
We're into Virginia, and the phone rings, and it's Bruce. I'm like, no.
God called.
The boss called.
The boss called, and Clarence gets off the phone. He starts dancing around the bus. I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, the band's getting back together. And I'm like, oh. And he was like, "What's the matter, Smith?" He goes, "What's the matter?" I said, we just raised all this money to do this album, and everything's going good. And blah, blah, blah. He goes, "Hey, listen," he goes, "me getting back with Bruce is the best thing for you, because now I'm back on top again." Okay. And he goes, "But what about the album?" He goes, "You just, when you're ready for me to do my tracks, you call me, I come and do them. I do the tracks. And then, and when I'm not playing with Bruce, we're still going to do shows together." So he was the most unbelievable person.
Is that exactly how that played out?
Yeah, it did. Exactly.
So listen, you say, my observation here is that, maybe you didn't hit whatever top 40 breakthrough,
yeah,
your experience is like beautiful. It's huge. It's so thick and rich and giant. Who the hell needs that other thing?
I can call Clarence Clemmons one of my best friends in the whole world.
You must have been heartbroken, and I am sorry for your loss.
We had more fun with him off the road than we did on the road, and he made me advertise the band as Steve Smith and the Nakeds featuring Clarence Clemmons, and he would not perform if it wasn't that way. I want to give you one more story, because it's the greatest story about Clarence in my life.
Okay.
We were playing the Trade Winds in Jersey, in Bruce Springsteen's hometown, and the promoters were told to promote the show as Steve Smith and the Nakeds featuring Clarence Clemmons. We're pulling into Remsen, New Jersey that night to play. There's planes going over. Clarence Clemmons is playing. Bruce Springsteen might be there tonight. We're listening to the radio. Clarence Clemmons is playing at the Trade Winds tonight, and don't forget who's in town. Bruce is in town. And Clarence went crazy.
I'll bet.
He went out of his mind. So we go to, now he says, we're not going to play. We're not going to play. I said, well, you tell me what you want to do. And he calls Bruce up. Bruce was coming that night. He says, "Bruce, don't come tonight." I went, "No, again." He goes,
at that point, right?
Yep. He goes, "I don't want you to come, because they're exploiting me. They're exploiting me. They're exploiting you, and they're exploiting this band that works with me all the time." He goes, "And I don't want you there." So we played. I'm trying to make this short. We played for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I played for an hour and a half, and all night long. Bruce.
Oh, geez.
He decided to go on. He decided to go on the last minute. We were almost not going to play, but he got the promoter, and he had him by the throat. And he said, "You screwed me." He goes, "You sold these people tickets under the wrong, the wrong thing." He goes, after you let him go, the guy goes, are you going to play?
You know what would have been cool? And of course,
so what happened?
And of course, you did, right?
We ended up playing.
Of course.
We ended the show and we got off stage, and the place is going, Bruce, 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 Bruce.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Clarence goes, what the fuck? He goes, stay here. He gets up on stage in front of 1,500 people, and he goes, I am so fucking mad and so disappointed in this crowd. He goes, I can't believe that you didn't. He goes, I'm just overwhelmed. He goes, I can't believe it. I said, I bring these friends of mine down here to my home turf to show them off to you. And all you can do is yell, Bruce, Bruce, you people are assholes, right? And he goes, first of all, Bruce Springsteen is not coming here tonight. He was never coming here tonight because I told him not to. And I said, he said, if you bought a ticket tonight to thinking you were going to see Bruce Springsteen, you're wrong. He goes, you ought to go back to the ticket window right now and get your money back. Every one of you should get your money back from the promoters. And we're in the back room.
Did that start a stampede?
We're going to get killed here, you know?
Yeah.
He goes, if you guys had any class whatsoever, you would get these guys back up on stage for an encore and let them play for you the way that they just played for you for an hour and a half. And he walked off. He walked off, right? All of a sudden you hear, naked, 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 naked. And louder and louder. We went back up and played for another half hour. That's the most incredible thing I have ever seen in my life. You know, he didn't have to do that. You know,
that's incredible to hear. Never mind.
Oh my God,
that's amazing.
Just a class human being. You know, and he called me. He did American Idol. The last time he performed on American Idol, he was on with Lady Gaga. The next day he called me and told me he was having medical issues and that he was going back to Florida to have his doctors look at his hand. He was having problems with his hand. And I said, well, are you calling me to cancel? We had summer shows. I said, you calling me to cancel the show? She goes, no. He goes, I want you to, we're doing the shows. Just keep them scheduled. I'm going in Tuesday. They're going to do a 20-minute procedure on my arm. And then they said, in an hour, my arm will be back to normal. And he goes, a couple of weeks of rehab, I'll be ready to come up and play with you guys. And that was the last time I talked to him. He went in, they took him off Coumadin, which he was on Coumadin. They did the surgery. They didn't put him back on the Coumadin. And a week later, he had a blood clot.
That's a lawsuit. That's a lawsuit.
Man. But it's going to go on.
Well, I didn't mean for my mind to go there so quickly, but
but it's right where we all went. That's a bunch of BS.
You would think there'd be a lawsuit, but it never happened. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, but you know why, guys? Because sometimes when there's not and what is $1 billion going to do? It's not going to get Clarence back.
No.
So it's like that. I think sometimes I can dig that. Wow, thanks for that story.
I just want to say one more thing about the Clarence issue. So I ended up going to the funeral, and Bruce, the Holy Street band was there. I was invited to the funeral. Jackson Browne was there, and Bruce is a very strange individual. He's very recluse, and he's sitting with his family, and he walked by me. And he walked by me like he was afraid of me or something, you know. So I said, Bruce. He said, yeah. He goes, what's up, Steve? I said, I just want to say something to you before I go any further here. And he said, what is it? I said, I just want to thank you for sharing Clarence with me all these years.
Excellent.
And he goes, what? He goes, yeah, I just want you to thank you. I said, he was unbelievable. And I said the same thing, stepping down from the world stage and getting back in the bus with 12-year-old men. And he goes, Steve, that's what Clarence was all about. He loved playing, and he goes, didn't matter where it was or when it was, he loved playing, and he loved you guys. And I said, well, thank you for sharing him with me. And he said, wow. Oh my God. He goes, wow. You know, and that was
awesome.
You know, It's cool.
That is
Very cool.
awesome. And he, God bless all those cats. And
Everyone who listens to this podcast and they show up in Cranston February 11th, we don't want to hear Bruce, okay?
No.
Making up for something he should have done before.
He's not coming because I told him not to come. It's about
great.
I'm calling it and telling him to come.
Yeah, Susan wants him to come. You're right.
We're going to get this episode out. It's going to go up. It's going to be on demand. It's going to be up forever. Come to the show February 11th. Man, I'd go to the show just from this visit we had.
Yeah.
God.
I mean,
this has been amazing. Steve, thank you so much for joining us sincerely.
We got to do this again. We got to do this again.
There's a lot more to go over. I got tons of notes here.
Yeah, Paul's got tons of notes.
After we bond and get together and we do the show together,
we can do part 2. You wouldn't be the first guy.
Yeah.
No, that'd be great.
We actually had Pat Boone on our podcast with his daughter, Debbie. It was great history.
Go ahead, Steve. What you got?
So, is your daughter coming that night?
Oh yeah, we're coming.
Show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smithfield.
So I'm going to get you. I'll get you the tickets tomorrow. I'll get tickets put aside for that.
I emailed that. There was a Smithfield contingent in the audience.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I can't believe your grandkids go to the same school I graduated from.
That's crazy.
I'm reading your history and I'm going, no way. No way. No way. Yeah. It's just
can I tell you one more story? You'll never get rid of me. So
we're good.
I'm playing the show in Bristol, 90s, on the steps of Bristol for 4th of July. And this lady comes up to me and she's got curly hair in glasses. And she goes, "You don't know me. You don't remember me, do you?" I said, I cannot place you for the life of me.
I hate that question.
She goes, "Well, you should know me." I said, "Well, I can't do it. I can't place you." She goes like this. Sister Mary Ellen Francis.
No way.
It was her.
No way. How old was she?
Had her smell like this. She actually probably when she was teaching, she was probably 20.
She's real young.
So she said, "You'll never believe this, but remember when I let you kids play that day?" She goes, "I got in so much trouble that day for doing that." And she said, "I ended up leaving." She left the nunhood and got married and had 2 kids. Wow. And she goes, "And I've been following your career ever since that day." And it said, "You owe me a lot of commissions."
Hey, can I share my Catholic nun story with you, Steve? Same thing.
Yeah. How long are your ears, though? That's what I want to know. How long are your ears?
Listen, I'm in the 1st grade at St. Joseph's School behind the old Duber Theater in Newport. Great school. I got Sister William Margaret. For whatever dumb reason, I lean over and I lifted the skirt of the girl in the row next to me up. And she said, "I'm telling."
Whatever dumb reason, you're a dude.
I'm telling.
I think that was.
I'm 6.
That's not a bad thing.
I'm telling sister. And up she went. And my life was a nightmare for 4 days, okay, because of that. You know how rough they were.
Oh, my God.
So
I had Sister Mary Carlton.
Now I'm going to jump. This is like 1950, whatever. I'm 6, so 56. 2000. The year 2000, we're playing at the Taste of Rhode Island in Newport, the whole band, and I get a message. "There's a Sister William Margaret here who wants to see you." I had to drag my whole family because I've shared that horror story with my family. All my kids know her name. My kids know what happened.
Oh, my God.
And I brought them to her. I said, "This is Sister William Margaret." And the jaws, she's like the tiniest thing ever. She's 3 years old. So I had that happen to me too. Like, and we move on. We don't think they remember us.
No, I thought you were going to tell me it was the girl you pulled her skirt up.
Skirt up, great. Yes. I married
Where is she, right, Steve? Where is she?
No, isn't that funny? No, I had adventures with Sister William. There was a day she said, "Raise your hand if you have to get sick and throw up. Don't just do it. You're allowed to. Don't rate, don't ask." And I went up. I got sick. I went up and asked her and told her I'm feeling sick. I threw up on her habit in the 1st grade. So
that's why she didn't want you to come up. She already had that happen.
I didn't obey the rules.
She probably had that happen many times.
I didn't obey the
rules. All right, you goofy people.
All right, we got to go. Steve, thank you so much for pursuing the technology aspect of it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you didn't give up.
And we're
I
going to
couldn't
see you
believe it.
soon, Steve.
Yeah, a couple of weeks we'll be there.
Yeah, we're gonna
We'll be
rock
there.
and roll
Excited.
that
Great.
stage. And our
Excited,
attitude
excited.
is the
So I
same
need
as-
a gallon of milk and plenty of Gansett, right?
There you
Yeah.
go. No
And that's
cancer
whole
for
milk.
us, but a bunch
That's
of milk.
whole, not 2%,
Oh, yeah,
1%
yeah.
or not.
Well, our writer
Whole.
has a gallon of chocolate milk on it. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we
You
get
gotta
that
have
too.
to.
You know, it's so fun. All right, we got lots more stories.
All right,
to
campers.
share.
I'll see you all in RI. I'm out.
all right,
Yeah, we'll
later.
Bye,
see you,
baby.
Rhode
See you
Island.
guys
Thank
next
you,
week.
Thank you, Steve.
We are over and out.